That is how I felt about the Raptors in the early season. Like I liked a lot of the 3-point shots they were taking. They weren't going in, and you've seen that improve plenty.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Raptors especially, like you've got guys now settling into roles. There were a lot of new players, new faces, and guys getting more minutes. So there was an adjustment period, right? You've got Yuta Watanabe coming in, Chris Boucher, Stanley Johnson getting new minutes, Aaron Baines, new player coming in, just guys in new roles that they haven't had to fill before. And so it has been an adjustment period, but you've seen them starting to take a leap, which segues me perfectly into the story that I've been waiting to talk about on this podcast. Speaking of leaps, Mr. Steady Freddy, the boy, bet on yourself. Fred VanVleet drops a career high, a Raptors franchise high, and the highest number of points scored by an undrafted player in NBA history. 54, beating Karl Malone's 50 or Moses Malone's 52 and DeMar DeRozan's 52. Uh, wow. Congratulations, Fred. What a performance. He was like bone chillingly efficient, shooting 11 of 14 from three. Just and like hitting all sorts. It was almost a Curry-esque performance, coming around screens, some deep threes, then attacking and using contact to his advantage, bouncing off guys and finishing layups in traffic. Just an unbelievable performance that the Raptors truly needed. He was the spark. Orlando jumped out to an 11-0 lead to start the game, and Fred hit a pretty big three-pointer to kick the Raptors off scoring-wise. And just super, super special. He's one of only 13 players in the league averaging 20 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. And he is one of 5 players in NBA history to ever score 50 points with 3 blocks and 3 steals, joining Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dirk Nowitzki, and Anthony Davis. Because he had a couple kind of half steal blocks that they counted as blocks. I think he stripped Terrence Ross going up for a
Yeah.
shot on a fast break. But hey, like it just shows how great his hands are too, that he's able to get 3 blocks and 3 steals in a game where he's gassing himself on the offensive end. At the end of the third quarter, when he stripped Ross down the quarter, he's just sitting there, hands on his knees. Like he had to carry them through that third quarter. It's just so superb. It's so fun to watch him. Like how you have said, it's even more impressive when a guy can put up numbers like this and have a skill set like this at his size, because most NBA players are just freaks of nature. But when it's something, a skill that you've honed so perfectly, like Fred has, and the story where he's come from, like he told teams to pass on him in the draft in the second round because he didn't want to get buried in the G League. He wanted to sign an undrafted contract so that he could make a squad right away without being buried in the G League. And so, just wow, like what a story! So incredibly proud of him, and shout out to Fred, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, and it just continues. We're seeing the identity of this Toronto Raptors team this season kind of continue where they left off last, where on any given night, you don't know who the guy is going to be. It's been Siakam some nights, it's been OG some nights, Lowry with one of the quietest triple doubles you'll ever see, with pairing with Freddie. You see Watanabe and Stanley Johnson stepping up in their moments. Boucher, obviously early in the season, and that's. I mean, I don't know what my expectations of Van Fleet or for Van Fleet are moving forward from this. He's been. I mean, I guess that is a pretty impressive average you listed, but he's been quiet on a lot of nights, not like a consistent 25-point scorer, but maybe this will be the spark where he does continue to step up. I mean, he certainly the type of performance that more than justifies the contract he had already earned for himself.
What I
Um,
what I really loved from that Fred is he kind of looks like the next Kyle, in the sense where Kyle Lowry has been so amazing throughout all these years of knowing what his team needs and basically filling gaps in a game where Kyle can come out and get 11 assists in one quarter because he knows his other teammates are hot and they're operating and he needs to give people the ball. But then there are times when Kyle's like, okay, no one's making any shots. It's time for me to go to work. And you can see glimpses of that with Fred, where like he's now recognizing the game from such a high level and such an overtop view that he knows it's, hey, tonight we're not shooting well. I need to put up 50. And that's obviously the extreme scenario, but sometimes you don't have to have these incredible stats to win games. And so even though Fred's putting out these solid stats and there maybe not be as consistent as you like, I think he could put up consistently 20 to 25 points if he really wanted to. Like, I don't know, like a Bradley Beal who wants to put up 35 but is on a terrible team, or a Trae Young who puts up these incredible numbers but plays no defense. Whereas Fred sacrifices some of those numbers to get the 3 blocks and the 3 steals and move the ball around and get secondary assists to corner threes. He just plays within the game and picks his spots to really take over. And that's why the Raptors have been so successful, is because they have got these 2 point guards who are just incredible at managing the game.
Yeah. I mean, I love, we've talked about this before, but the reason, I mean, you kind of hinted at it when you were talking about Van Fleet, but the reason like Steph Curry is probably still my favorite player in the league is just what the threat he brings at range just opens up the whole game. And it's so fantastic for me to see like a 6'1", 6'2" player um control the entire floor like that. And that, I guess you can kind of say, is, well, Van Fleet has that range, which is so exciting. And stepping into those more and more into that role Lowry fills is what I'd love to see, but with a little more of his own signature touch. Because when you're a threat from that deep, just the way the team has to guard you and play you is going to open up the court. And Lowry, one of the highest IQ basketball players in the league, even if some of the choices he makes with that IQ are frustrating at times. And that's, Van Fleet definitely shows glimpses of that. I would say not to the same degree, but that's the development I'd hope to see him take. Like, if you've got OG sitting in the corner for a 3 and Siakam sitting like ready to spin into the paint, Boucher ready to cut into a lane, and you've got to guard Van Fleet like from the 40-foot mark, then how do you stop that? So there's the direction I'm hoping to see. And yeah, we'll maybe have a bit of debate on what our favorite Toronto sporting moment it was a little later, but certainly an excellent one for Fred VanFleet.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what he does to follow that up tonight as the Raptors get their first look at the Brooklyn Nets. I believe OG Anunoby is out, which is a huge loss because he would probably be guarding James Harden and would see Siakam on Durant, but those guys could kind of flip flop because OG probably be a little bit more would be a little bit better on Durant just because he puts up less offensively, so he'd be focused on that matchup a little bit more. But without OG tonight, you'll probably see Siakam and a little bit of Boucher on Durant. I worry about Boucher's foot speed. We'll probably see Kyle on James Harden just because of the body types, and then Fred on Kyrie, which will be a really fun one to watch.
Pray for like 5 charges.
Yeah, I think the Raptors are going to have to be able to shoot the ball well tonight because it's going to be a lot of points back and forth. There's only so much that Raptors defense can do against 3 generational offensive talents. So it should be a fun one to see how Nick Nurse draws up the game plan.